Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In the earlier video, we have seen how to refactor the code with the service layer. In this video, we are going to refactor the code further with the dependency injection. So before getting started, let's try to have a very quick recap of what we did in the earlier session. Right. Why should we refactor the code with the service layer? Because to facilitate the separation of concerns, I want to put my whole business logic into my service and let the controller handle the HTTP request, and also to facilitate reusability, like whatever business logic that we have it in the service layer can be reused in various controllers and also in other classes or in the background jobs. And it can be easily testable in a way that I can write unit tests, and it allows better maintainability. As the application grows, I can add more business logic into my service layer, add more loggings, add more validation. So that's the reason we have to refactor it with service layer. And on the code side, what we did is we moved all the business logic into the employee service and created that employee service instance with the new keyword and tried to use that instance across my controller. So with that, let's try to uh, refactor the code with the dependency injection. So if you see this line of code, there's an issue with this line. So we are using the new keyword, which makes my application very tightly coupled. The controller gets tightly coupled with the dependent class, which is employee service, which is bad, right? Because say in future, I want to have an other service class which gets into data from the database using the entity framework core, right? Right now in my employee servers, I have static data, but as in when the application grows, I want to get it from the database or I want to read it from the cache. I If I go and create classes for each of this use case, I have to come back here, replace this employee service, not just this controller. Every place in my application where I'm using this employee service has to be replaced with that new implementation, and as well as the application should be thoroughly tested before pushing to production. So this is what tightly coupled is, right? So my application should be loosely coupled so that it can be easily maintained. So for that reason, we need dependency injection for loose coupling, and also all the object creation we would centralize at one place, which is program.cs, and any changes can I can just update there. And it also allows us to have a better life cycle management, like I can have it transient, scoped, or singleton. Based on my use case, I can um, have this life cycle for each of the objects. So just a quick intro of this: transient is for every time wherever we are injecting a new instance gets created. Scoped is for that request the instance remains same, and for the singleton throughout the application lifetime that instance remains the same. So that's the difference. So now I understood why I have to use dependency injection. Now going further, like how do I use DI, or how can I enable that DI in my application? Before that, let's understand the flow. Like in the controller, instead of directly using the dependent class, I would use the contract and then resolve it using program.cs, which would get the data and send it back to the controller. That's the flow. Now, achieving it is very simple. Like we have like four steps. Like I have to create the interface of the contract, I need to implement that interface, I have to register it in my program.cs with either any of this uh, life cycles, and then I have to inject that into my controller. And wa- there are three ways I can inject again, like constructor injection, property injection, and method injection. We would be seeing the constructor injection, which is widely used in majority of the applications. Like if you're interested to explore more on property and method, you can explore it, right? But for this video, we will be checking on constructor injection, which is widely used. Now going back into my application, first let's go ahead and create a interface. For that, I will create a new folder and name it interfaces, and I will add a interface, right? So the methods are nothing but whatever methods we have it here. So for the signatures, I have put it in a notepad just for the sake of easiness. I've added here, just that. So I created the interface, which is my first step. Now I have to implement it. So I'll just inherit it as As the method signatures are same, I will not be getting any error like not implemented exception. So let's move forward and let's try to register my add singleton, employee service, right? I've registered it, which is my next step, like registering it, and I made it singleton, and then I would go back to my controller and I will try to inject it using construction injection. For that, I am just using my contract, which is iEmployee service. Let me do the constructor injection. CTOR is a snippet for the constructor, and then I will just inject it using constructor injection. Employee service. Employee service is equal to, that's all. So we are all set to use the dependency injection. Let's quickly run the application to see if everything is working as expected. My application loaded and Swagger is also loading now. Let's try to hit get endpoint. Yep, and we got all the employee details. So we are all set. That's how simple it is to enable dependency injection in my application. So now in future, whenever I want to extend my application and implement employee service with entity framework core or employee service with cache, I don't have to change my controller. It's just that I create two different classes, implement from I employee service, and whichever I want, whether to read from DB or from cache, I would update this employee service to that specific class. Right? That's how simple dependency injection is. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe if you like.